Now, I have the honor to turn to the awarding of this year's Simon Benson Award for Philanthropy to Rick and Erika Miller. Rick is a rare breed, a seventh-generation Oregonian. His family came to Oregon in 1853, 6 years before statehood, to homestead not far from here. Rick is an example of what can be achieved if you're willing to sacrifice and focus on your dreams. When Rick realized he had entrepreneurial interests some 20 years ago, he cobbled together enough money to invest in his first business. This investment became the Avamere Group, and Rick still serves as chair. He's also the co-founder of Rogue Venture Partners, dedicated to helping Oregon-based entrepreneurs and early-stage businesses with funding and mentorship. Erika, his wife, grew up in Olympia and graduated from the University of Puget Sound. She had a successful career in banking, first in Seattle and then in Portland. She's also an accomplished tennis player, played in college, and she learned from her family the importance of giving back to the community. She puts this into practice today, volunteering for Beaverton, Riverdale, and Lake Oswego school districts. Rick and Erika are incredibly generous with their success. They have given back to our community and state with more than $15 million to Portland area public schools, the Ronald McDonald House, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Portland Community Church, University of Oregon, and of course, Portland State. Rick found inspiration for supporting the underserved after trials of his own. At age 18, doctors found a large tumor in his brain. Just 3 years ago, Rick was again diagnosed with cancer. Both times he fought back successfully and now has a clean bill of health. And finally, Rick and Erika would tell you their greatest rewards come from being parents, from learning how their children see the world and helping them with the challenges they face each day. This video will tell you a little bit more about this exceptional couple.
Much a deep and sincere interest in her heart to connect with other people. She always asks how everyone's doing in my family, which is a delight. She's so busy with her own family that it would be easy for her to just talk about them only.
When he started the company, he sold everything he had and moved in with his mom. Those humble beginnings really did have an impact, and I think that's part of why he is such a huge giver today. He really does appreciate where he came from and what he has, and that's why he gives back. He's a very generous person.
Being around the Miller's house, this is the Brady Bunch. There's quite a brood there, crossing a lot of ages and a lot of energy levels. And balancing all this act plus the business and philanthropy, I've still found it just incredible that Erika's always got time to just ask a question, answer a question. It's a balancing act, and it's an impressive one.
Well, I can tell you he's been incredibly generous to the business school. Rick and Erika have made a very large gift to our building campaign, and Rick is the co-chair of our building campaign, and he's been all in helping us, and we're well on our way.
Erika is probably the rudder of their boat when it comes to certain things that they do collectively. She has been able to really influence Rick in so many positive ways, and because of that, you just see how that plays into the decision-making that they have in the things that they do philanthropically.
We were a school that needed help, and Rick I think he became interested in helping, but he would ask us hard questions like, what is our vision? Where are we headed? What are our core principles? And as he helped us flesh those out, when we could really give him a sense of direction and where we needed help, he would put all his chips in.
We always found Erika to be not only very engaging and someone who cared about people, but also someone who understood and helped these businesses to become successful. She's always enthusiastic, positive, She has so much positive energy that it makes it a joy to work with her.
Well, he's larger than life, of course, but he has such a quiet tone that kind of belies the presence that you feel when he walks into a room. He always has such a keen interest in the person he's talking to. He deflects a lot of the conversation from himself and listens really, really well.
I started Portland Community Church September 11th, 2011. And Rick said, I'm coming with you. And so he and his wife, Erika, came, and right from the beginning. And he said, Ron, I'd like to show you a piece of property. He had this house Avamere owned. I looked at it, and I said, you know, this kind of looks like a church. And so Rick gave us that piece of property.
Rick and I have been friends for 5+ years, and we spent a lot of time talking about entrepreneurs and Oregon and how to give back to them. We've invested in over 10 companies now. Rick is the most generous person in my life.
Now I have a special announcement to make. Of the $15 million that Rick and Erika have shared in Oregon, the largest gift they have given to date is their gift to Portland State University. Rick and Erika are our lead donors for the School of Business Building campaign with their $8 million gift. Thank you, Rick and Erika. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Wow. Thank you, Vim. First, a huge thank you to Debbie, and I wish I knew where you're sitting, for all the work you and your team have done for this event. It's just truly unbelievable. Words cannot do justice to how Rick and I feel about being honored tonight. Giving back is how I was raised. From as early as I can remember, my folks have told me, and actually my sister and brother who are here, we are blessed to be a blessing. And for every $100 that you earn, figure out a way to give 10 back. And then my dad also said, as a side note, as you budget, as you grow older, you're probably going to need another $40 or $50 to go to the government. Dad, that is true. These are the same values and practices that we put into play with our family today. And actually all of our 6 children that are blended together like a crazy brood, they're all here as well. And we're thankful for that. Rick and I both share the same vision, and that is to give back with an impact and help lives to be bettered. I am married to the most gracious and giving man. I am honored not only to be his wife, but to make a difference in this world with him. Honey?
Hello? Okay. Isn't she fantastic? Erika is a wonderful mom to our kids. She's a terrific friend to our friends, and as you can see, she's my biggest fan. Erika, thank you for making me feel 7 feet tall. So let's just cut right to the chase and talk about that for a second. I want to answer some questions I know that are on your minds. So 7 feet, ½ inch, 6 pounds, 13 ounces when I was born. My mom's 5'2", my dad's 6'5". What else? You know, a size 18 shoe, and you know what? The weather is fine up here. It's remarkably similar to what you're experiencing right now. So now that we're done with that. You know, it is a little embarrassing to be 7 feet tall and not an NBA basketball player. Little story, I was in Chicago at O'Hare a few years ago, and just vision, the place that I'm at, the lobby is got about 150 kids and their parents. They're all on their way to Washington, D.C. I'm on my way home. 3 kids come up and they said, you know, we know you're somebody. What team do you play for? And I said, I'm sorry to tell you, but I'm really nobody. And so they walked away, a little curious, a little frustrated, and I watched them for a couple minutes, and they watched me. A few minutes went by. They came back with a few more of their friends. There's about a dozen of them. And this time, they were on a mission. They had pen and paper in their hands, and they wanted one thing. The leader of the pack said, look, you said you didn't play basketball, but we know you're lying. We know you're somebody. We know you play basketball. We know you're famous. As a matter of fact, we've talked. We've all seen you play on TV. We think you're absolutely awesome. We want your autograph. I didn't know what to do. So what do? I start signing autographs. Rick Miller, number 100. What's your name? Chuck. Nice to meet you. Rick Miller, 7 feet tall, Chicago, whatever. But then everybody else in the lobby, all the other kids that didn't have nerve enough to come up and ask me for my autograph, got interested, and they all started moving in. And I needed out. My heart was pounding, my body was sweating, and finally, the beautiful words, you know, from the intercom, your flight is boarding. I was never so happy to get out of a place. But I'll tell you, it is rather embarrassing to not be someone or something that most others think you are, or want you to be, or think you should be. When I was looking around telling that story, I was thinking about you, Chris, and you know, you could do me a favor if the next time I'm in a situation like that, could I just tell him I'm you? Chris Dudley's here. So, Bill Stoller, Bill, congratulations to you. Eric and I are honored to be recognized alongside such a class act. You're a great man. Congratulations. Yeah. To them, we'd be remiss if we didn't say thank you, and we both admire you for your leadership and your vision and your passion for Portland State. Thank you for all you do. Vim, if you know, tonight is an example. If you just look around and take it in, you know, your impact as a leader here at PSU is obvious. So thank you. We got about 2 minutes between the two of us, and we're taking a little bit longer, so we're ready to wrap it up here in just a second. Scott Dawson, you're out there somewhere. Scott is the dean of the business school here at Portland State, and a professor of mine when I went to school here. Scott, you're another example of what makes this school great. A mentor of mine a few years ago, Gary Ward, told me, he said, Rick, life is about relationships, and he's right. I spent most of my adult life serving seniors and the disabled. And I was curious about what it was like to live in our community, so I decided to move into 2 of our retirement and assisted living facilities for a year. It was a remarkable experience, and I learned a lot about the customer experience. My favorite memory, I just want to tell you this really quick, was out at an assisted living facility in Hillsborough. It was early one morning, and like most mornings, I was behind by the time I got up. I was making a beeline to the door when this great senior lady came up to me and she said, Mr. Miller? I said, yeah. She said, could I just bother you for a few minutes? Would you consider having a cup of coffee with me this morning? I'd like to share a few things with you. I looked at my watch and I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'd love to spend the time, but I'm busy. I've got some really important meetings, and I'm so far behind. But how about tonight when I come home, let's look each other up, and we'll schedule some time in the next 2 to 3 weeks and get to know each other. And with more persistence, she said, Mr. Miller, do you want to know how I'm going to spend my day today? And I said, no, ma'am, tell me. She said, well, I'm going to start off. My first appointment is with my doctor. You see, I've been battling cancer for a very long time, and he's going to tell me this morning how long I have to live, and I don't think I've got much longer. Mr. Miller, do you know how I'm going to spend my afternoon? And I said, well, tell me. She said, well, I'm going to have dialysis, and it's not a great way to spend an afternoon. You see, my kidneys have failed because because of all the chemo and radiation treatment. And I thought, well, she said, I'm scared, I'm lonely, I just want somebody to talk to, and I hoped you'd be the person that would do that with me this morning. I felt like an idiot, and I said, let's talk. So we went into the dining room, grabbed a cup of coffee. We had a remarkable session together. And just when I thought we were done, she said, you know, some of my favorite memories were with my dad, who loved tequila. We'd get together and talk about stories. And on his porch, and she said, Mr. Miller, I'm not a snoop, but I noticed that when you moved in here, she was a neighbor, that you brought some liquor with you and you had some tequila. So she said, you know, I got nothing to lose. Would you consider having a little tequila with me? I looked at my watch one more time, 7:30 in the morning, and I thought, what the heck? What's the worst thing that can happen? So I went upstairs and I got the tequila. We went back into the dining room to a far table. I didn't want anybody to know what we were doing. And we spent about another hour to an hour and a half, and she shared some amazing stories over 2 glasses of tequila each. She talked about her dad, who was her hero. She talked about her successes and failures, her fear of dying. And she says, you know, I really miss my dad dearly, and I can't wait to see him. I'm going to see him again soon. She died a couple of weeks later. I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity, I took the opportunity to spend time with that great lady, and I'll always be thankful. She reminded me of 3 things. She said, look, life is short. Life is all about relationships, like Gary said, and you need to choose how you spend your time. You need to be careful how you choose to spend your time every day. You need to do it wisely because life is short. So to Vim and Portland State, congratulations on such a great night. Thank you for all your generosity and with your time and money. And on behalf of Erika and I, we're really honored to receive this award tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful. Hey, you got great comedy.